Welcome to SciTech Culture with Steve Kern and Ben Warner, where we examine science, technology, and culture in the 21st century. Visit our website at scitechculture.com. Hello and welcome to SciTech Culture. My name is Ben Warner and I'm joined once again by my good friend and colleague Steve Kern. How are we today, Steve? You all excited about the fact that, there's more iPhones on the way? As much as I am?
Hello, everyone. And yes, I am excited about Apple for the first time, I think, in 10 years.
And that's saying something coming from someone who was trying to convince me for years to actually step into the ecosystem. I think we kind of swapped over at some point, didn't we?
Trading places.
Yeah, exactly. So Apple finally announced its new iPhone line for 2020, a month behind schedule, but we can give them that because of the the delays caused by the pandemic, etc. So the iPhone 12 line. And it's interesting. So I'm in my 2-year cadence year, so I'll be picking up one of these, so I can take advantage of all the latest features and whatever. But what I wanted to start with though was actually, if you ever think about, before we get into the phones themselves, the actual entire lineup that they announced. So it seems like they've got models for every price point, which is interesting. It's like the Samsung approach, I guess, where there's you just go up in $100 increments, and you've got a phone to cover for you, the SE, 10R, 11, and then 4 iPhone 12 models. And it's interesting that they've done it that way, and I don't know whether that leads to potential confusion or not. Maybe I don't think of it in terms of I have to be able to buy one at X price or whatever to whatever. Maybe some people do. I'm not sure.
Yeah, look, honestly, we'll get to why I'm excited about the iPhones in a minute. But seriously, to me, it's all just one iPhone, and I don't even think I could tell you what they were at the moment. I couldn't even tell you what the high-end features are. I want you to tell me what the high-end features are, because I can't work it out. But it's interesting, isn't it? And as I always say, this goes back to '96 at Apple, where they just had too many models of everything, and they only had basically the Mac then. So I wonder if today that we're so much more sophisticated as a consumer that we can cope with this, many niche products, because let's face it, each one fills a specific niche, whether it's in $100 increments or feature increments. So hit us with what the top features are, because I got lots to know.
Well, I'll just say more broadly that when I had a look at what they were talking about with the 12, compared to my 10s Max that I've got, it is a significant jump. However, if you think about the previous year iPhone, the 11, the word incremental kept popping into my mind each time I saw it. There was a significant camera hardware jump in the 11 from the 10s, but going to the 12. Not to say that they don't have really, really good cameras in them, but it just felt like that some of the features that they included were a bit more incremental in nature.
So that's interesting to hear that in this part of the cycle that, you're looking at an incremental increase. For me, whose last iPhone was an iPhone 4S, to me it's a huge leap.
Oh, it absolutely would be. That's not to say that what is on offer isn't impressive, because, like I said, my sort of assessment of which one to get obviously has got to do with getting the maximum out of the cameras and getting the maximum features. So for me, the Pro Max is probably what I'm going to end up getting, because this year compared to last year, they actually did a differentiation between the two Pro models. So the Pro Max actually has a slightly better camera system in it, and it also has it'll have the better battery life and all of that stuff. It's just that you're carrying around a really large phone, obviously. But I actually use it sort of like a mini computer anyway, so I don't mind having the bigger screen. We'll come to the two 6.1-inch phones in a minute, but I had to touch on the Mini because as soon as I saw that one come out, I thought of you actually, because I figured you might be into that one.
Well, that's why not had an iPhone since the 4S because they haven't had a format that I liked. I like a smaller phone with packed full of features, which is why I ended up with the Sony, I think, after my 4S, because that was a high-end phone. Even though it didn't work quite that well. It was a high-end phone in a small format, and I thank whoever at Apple finally decided to put high-end features in a smaller format phone. I mean, I know it's not, like the Pro Max, but, it's still a great phone, and I'm excited by it. I'm definitely going to the i13 Mini.
when that comes around. The interesting thing being, of course, that it's actually physically smaller than the 6 range, which was even more fascinating, really, and you're getting pretty much most of the high-end features anyway. What I did want to touch on, though, was just the regular 12 and then the 12 Pro. So they've got the same screen size, same type of screen, and a lot of the really same sort of features. Obviously, the Pro differentiates itself a little bit with a few higher end features, but I had to wonder, we were talking about that bit of confusion before. I actually am struggling to see what the 12 Pro's place is in this, because if you were going to go Pro, you'd get the big one, and otherwise the regular 12 would suit just fine. And it's not like last year where the 11 had an LCD screen and the 11 Pro had the OLED screen. This time they all have OLED screens, so it's the sort of similarity between the two has narrowed quite a bit, but the price is actually quite different. Like you're talking about $200-300, if not more, between the two models for what are you getting. So it's interesting that they've done that, and they must think that there must be a like you said, a niche there that could be satisfied.
Would it be a storage option or something like that? Probably likely. I mean, I just find it amazing, though, the level of which these phones are at now. And honestly, I think, from my perspective, I think that this is actually putting Apple significantly ahead of the pack again, unless, of course, you like foldable screens.
Yeah. Yeah, well, but again, I think we sort of touched on that a couple of weeks back, where we were just saying that that's probably still at a stage where they need to go through a few more iterations before, they can unleash a proper one onto the world, so to speak. And the funny thing being is that Apple's probably working on one in secret, and they'll just magically unveil one in 3 years' time that they've perfected, and they'll go on stage saying they reinvented the wheel with it.
Oh, I bet they will. But I don't know that when I look at this range of iPhones, the iPhone 12, I'm like really impressed again, just purely because of the power that's in them and the functionality. I think that for me now, sort of, re-examining the Apple range, I'm starting to think, well, that's actually, if the only feature you've got in your other phones is a foldable feature, I think the Apple's actually just pulling so far ahead on your tablet style phone that I don't know that the foldable screen will ever take off.
I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to functionality, what you're getting out of it. You've got a really fast processor in it. It's very powerful, even like with the just the regular 12 models. Again, all 4 have the same chip in it, so again, it's that differentiation. But they're all seemingly really good value, and the Mini and the regular 12 seem to be the ones hit for the mainstream, and that's a lot of power for just your regular user.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be really interested to know battery life on the Mini, whether it's better because of the smaller screen, or whether it's still sucking just as much power and it's got a smaller battery. So for me, that actually will probably be the clincher.
Yeah, in terms of accessories that they announced, there was a few. They had the cases and all of that. What I thought was interesting was this the reintroduction of the MagSafe brand, although they've rejigged it to be more on the wireless charging front, so that you got this sort of clip-on effect with the charger. It sort of spills in with the cases, so they've got magnets and all that sort of thing. A rather dubious wallet holder that clips on the back of the phone that I would never use, because I'd be expecting it to fall off, regardless of how strong they claim the magnets are. And I thought it was an interesting attempt to address their options for power, given that whole air power mat thing that stuffed up for them a couple of years back that they were trying to get running, but and now they've gone with this.
Well, look, I love this idea, so I want to be positive about it. But getting back to the battery, charging issues, and I absolutely abhor having any phone that has to be charged daily. I just don't think that's good enough. A lot of people disagree with me, but while I love the whole charging system that they've included, it just suggests to me that the battery life isn't there.
Well, like you said, the Mini's the one that'll be interesting, because usually the smaller the phone goes, the worse it gets.
That's right. Although I think the Sony wasn't too bad, as long as you didn't use any of the high-end features like 4K, which used up all the power in an instant and almost consumed the phone at the same time, just melted it. It was the battery life was pretty good. And I've got to say, the LG mid-range phone I've got at the moment is pretty good as well with a battery. So you can, with a full charge, you'll get, probably about 36 hours of frequent phone use, and I just think that phones that, barely can make it through a working day, it's just not quite right.
Absolutely. One other thing that they did announce, separate to the iPhones, were those HomePod mini speakers, just sort of like an afterthought, although they put in a lot of production into the keynote. They had the whole home set and everything. I actually found, not that I would get one, but or many. I guess I think they were suggesting that you were meant to get a few of them, not just one. But what was interesting was that they finally found a way to reduce the price point on a device like that. So their standard HomePod was always too expensive, and this small one seems to be not only at a better price point, but it seems more user-friendly and more practical in terms of just if you were to get a couple and place them around the house and they're all integrated and working together, that seemed to make sense, especially the way they demonstrated it in the keynote.
Yeah, I think that's where, an Apple product of that sort is definitely, you just know it would be good and you just know it would work and the interface would be easy. And I'm not in the market for them, I guess, but it's still it's a great feature and it's a great product. So I like a lot of what Apple's doing.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, maybe just to wrap it up, I've already indicated that the 12 Pro Max is the one I'm going to get as my choice in this. And finally. And
good choice.
Well, I know I'm going to be using the cameras, and we're going to be using it for the podcast. I can guarantee you that. But for the first time, they've finally got one in blue, so that was like a no-brainer. At least the Pro model, anyway. So it's like, well, I'm just going to have to get it then. But just from what we were saying, I know you're not going to get one this year, but would the 12 mini be the one that you would go for if you were going to do it?
100%. For me, that's what's been missing from the range. In fact, that's pretty much what's been missing across the entire phone range. You can't really get a good small or medium format phone. So, that iPhone sort of 8 size is just spot on. But if I get one, I really want to get all the features, and I really do think the Mini achieves that.
Absolutely. All right, we might wrap it up there. And just one final point to note is that it's rumored that in mid-November there'll be another event that Apple will host to announce its Apple Silicon Mac. So we'll probably revisit it then and have a bit of a discussion about that, because it'll be very interesting to see what they release first up.
It will be, because, Ben, this time next year I might be sitting here with a Silicon Range laptop and a iPhone 12 mini.
Absolutely.
13.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so don't forget our website, SciTechCulture.com. You can get all of our links and content there. You can subscribe to our YouTube and Vimeo channels, our RSS feeds, and watch us on any and all of your devices. And we greatly appreciate your visits to our website. All right, so that's it for this episode. We'll catch you next time.